Well, it is the most high-profile political face-off ever on the National Herald fight. Hours after former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram hit out at the Modi government, India Today has exclusively the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley for an explosive encounter. Consulting editor Rajdeep Sardesai with this interview.
National Herald and GST, two issues that are shadowing this session of Parliament. The former Finance Minister P. Chidambaram has given the Congress's side of the story. But where does the government stand now? Joining us now is the Finance Minister Arun Jaitley. Appreciate your joining us, Mr. Jaitley. Two issues. First, National Herald. Mr. Chidambaram says, when I asked him specifically, what is the evidence that you have that there could be political vendetta or intimidation, says that why was the case which was closed reopened? It was reopened on a private complaint filed by Dr. Subramaniam Swamy, and that the Enforcement Directorate, which was in charge of the case, the officer was changed. This is what is his argument. Your response?
Absolutely incorrect. Not one out of these three facts is correct. The Enforcement Director was a Secretary Government of India holding a dual charge. Obviously, he couldn't attend to two offices, and therefore somebody had to substitute full-time. Till date, as I speak to you, either before or later, the Enforcement Directorate has passed no order. The Enforcement Directorate has issued not even a simple letter or a show cause notice to the Congress party or its leaders. Either the erstwhile officer or the new officer has not proceeded in the matter. And therefore, for the Congress to presume that there was a transfer and something has happened, when the ED has so far not done anything, how can the Congress party say that the ED is indulging in political propaganda or political vendetta? Now let's come to the complaint. The ED has not done anything. The Congress party, through a web of financial transactions, created a Chakravyu for itself. Got land allotted for newspaper in various parts of the country, there is no newspaper. Congress party collected funds for a political purpose, gave a loan to a newspaper company, and assigned the loan to a property company. The property company took over the properties effectively.
Mr. Chidambaram says it's a non-profit Section 25 company, and therefore the funds are locked in.
That is a very poor defense. I can't collect monies for the BJP, get a tax exemption that it has to be spent for a political purpose, and start running an orphanage. The moment I do it, I'll be guilty of law. Don't you remember the BCCI got a tax exemption for running cricket in India? They donated some part of the money to the Football Federation to promote football, and they lost their exemption. Money which is taken for an exempted purpose can only be used for an exempted purpose and for no other purpose. Today, monies collected for a political purpose are being used by a property company. The party has lost that money. Properties which were acquired for a newspaper are vested in a property company controlled by a set of individuals who've been charged by Dr. Swamy in that case. And therefore, I am not saying they are guilty. All I am saying is there is a private complaint not filed now, not filed in 2015, filed in 2012 by Dr. Swamy. The trial court prima facie finds a case and summons the accused. The accused challenged it in the High Court. The High Court has affirmed the trial court order. The Congress leadership has two alternatives. Either go to the Supreme Court or go before the magistrate and face the trial. It's a legal issue which they have to legally fight out. The ED has not taken any punitive action. The income tax so far has not taken any punitive action. They will proceed as per law, whatever rights that they have. The government has not passed any order. The government is not a party to this dispute.
The government has not interfered at any stage on the basis of the complaint that Dr. Swamy filed. At no stage.
The government has no role in it whatsoever. It's a private complaint. Any citizen can put the process of law into motion. Dr. Swamy, as a private citizen, public-spirited citizen, has put the process of law into motion. The court has taken cognizance and summoned them. They have challenged it at the High Court. They took their chance. They've lost. They can take a further chance. They can go before the trial court. But why paralyze Parliament? Parliament, supposing we meet in Parliament, that can the government do anything in this case? Obviously, the government can do nothing in this case.
You're saying why paralyze Parliament? The opposition, Mr. Chidambaram, but particularly the Congress party says because they believe it's part of a wider campaign of political intimidation going on against them, whether it's a Veerbhadra Singh, Chief Minister of Himachal.
I said so on another channel and I repeat it on your channel. Let us here and now, today or tomorrow, let's have a debate on each of the cases they are mentioning. I don't want to express a final opinion on the cases you are mentioning because some of the departments I look after in some capacity may be looking at it. But I can tell you these cases are stinking. How do you pay 50 lakhs and become an owner of a 2,000 crore property? Are you not liable to pay income tax? And if there is a financial transaction by which a criminal law provision is violated, a citizen is entitled to go to court. You are entitled to your remedies under the law. How does a citizen in Himachal Pradesh open a bank account and just deposit crores of rupees in that bank account in cash and convert it into private property? How is the house in which the chief minister is living shown as rented to a private company and he gets rent every month? You look at those cases and there's a hell of a lot which has to be answered.
And you're ready for an open debate like there was a debate on intolerance? You're challenging the Congress for a debate on vendetta?
Let it be identically worded as the debate on Mrs. Vasundhara Raje and Mrs. Swaraj. We agreed to that debate. The language was theirs. Let us just substitute those names and let's have a debate tomorrow in Parliament.
My final point, which I raised, is that the narrative of the GST, Mr. Chidambaram says, has nothing to do with the narrative of of political vendetta. He says on GST, they have formulated their response, given you their three concerns. They are waiting for the government response. He says the government has not responded. I can't respond to what Arvind Subramaniam's committee has said. It's a positive sign, but he wants to know from you why you have not responded.
Let me first of all tell you, I only wish and pray that the GST was delinked. This GST, the three suggestions they have made, go contrary to what Mr. Chidambaram and Mr. Pranab Mukherjee presented before the Parliament. Those three suggestions are contrary to what Mr. Chidambaram signed on the file. These are contrary to what their chief ministers have said in the Empowered Committee. These are clearly afterthoughts in order to delay the GST. I have no doubt in my mind. As far as government responding to these three suggestions is concerned, I think Mr. Chidambaram has to blame his own party. I have conveyed the government's response to his party.
Formally?
Formally, I have met leaders of their party and conveyed it to them.
In writing?
I think Mr. Chidambaram should consult his own party leaders who are their point.
He says he spoke yesterday to Rahul Gandhi and Sonia Gandhi on GST. They are awaiting a government response.
I am not answerable for the communication gap in their own party, but what our stand on three issues could be, I have already conveyed it to senior responsible people in the Congress party.
Therefore, are you hopeful of a breakthrough on GST? Time is running out because 23rd is the last date.
The three issues can easily be overcome. They can easily be overcome provided there is a willingness for the Congress party to honestly support the GST.
Are you saying that you are not convinced that the Congress party wants GST to be passed in this session of Parliament?
I have no reason to say that because Congress party mooted the idea. They introduced the bill and my suggestions are in consonance with their own proposals. If they go back on their own proposals, I can't help it. But even within the points that they have raised, there is some meeting ground which I have already conveyed to some of the responsible leaders of the Congress party.
So you remain hopeful?
Well, I can't.
You're willing to meet them more than halfway?
Well, I have to be hopeful on the issue.
Mr. Arun Jaitley, I appreciate your talking to us. Thank you so much. Arun Jaitley then responding to those two critical issues, National Herald and GST.
Let's talk about the thick blanket of smog that continues to trouble residents in the national capital, which has also become a major hazard for health as well. The polluted air that penetrates deep into the respiratory tract and cause harm to the lungs.
The winters are upon us. Time to take out your sweater jackets and, in my case, cap. In fact, my colleague Rohit has already started knitting. Now, Sony smartphones, I really like them, because they have their own design philosophy.